This is never. I don't think in 3-4 years, however long you've been doing this one, that you have ever picked against Ohio State.
Here's what I want to preface it by saying.
My goodness.
Here's what I want to preface it by saying.
This is like Christmas for me.
Here's what I want to preface it by.
Do you want to wear the Wolverine head?
I will burn it.
So I know technically there was college football last weekend.
I mean, sure.
Football, technically, TM. There is actual college football this weekend, and we could not be more excited. This is the Rivalry Podcast. My name is Jace. That's JP. This is a Michigan-Ohio State college football podcast, first of its kind. And every single week, we talk about, Michigan and Ohio State, each team, each week's analysis, with all eyes on that last Saturday in November. It's from River Radio Ministries and presented by our friends at Elevated Integrity Construction. While you're here, make sure that you rate and review. We appreciate that. We got an amazing review last week from our friend Kyler, who said,
huge.
Before I listened to Taylor Swift on New Heights, I listened to the Rivalry.
Same.
Listen, I don't know if we can top that review, but you're certainly welcome to try. Rate and review wherever you're listening right now is appreciated. On social media at Rival Pod. We've got a Facebook page now, Instagram, Twitter, and X, all that good stuff. YouTube as well. If you're not watching right now, be sure to subscribe there. And don't forget that when you go to rivalpod.com, you can get yourself your very own Rival Pod t-shirt.
They're looking pretty slick.
Listen, I don't want to... These are genuinely, we're not just saying this, genuinely the greatest shirts we've ever made. We've been doing this, 8 years, 7 years? These are the best shirts we've ever had.
Not even close. I have mine on underneath this, but we're starting to get good football weather where it's 60 when I left the house this morning. Yeah. And so I had to throw on the hoodie for old time's sake, just to get ready.
And by the way, more on this later, but you can also get yourself some Homage merch because we're an affiliate partner with Homage this year.
Which is what I'm wearing right now.
Click in the...
So if you like this hoodie.
Click in the... Go get it. Click in the show notes for that. All right. Let's break the ice with a little bit of a wheel route today. Again, if you're not watching on YouTube, go ahead and do that. Man, I'm so excited because Thursday night is really, there's some decent, there are some college football playoff implication games on Thursday night with Boise State going to USF. I mean, it's
Rutgers versus Ohio. I'm going to be at the Bowling Green Lafayette game.
Rutgers versus Ohio.
What could be better than that?
All right. Wheel route question today. Team outside the top 25 that will surprise people. You write these, so I want you to answer it first.
That's fine.
Because you've probably had a chance to think about this.
That's fine.
Team outside the top 25 that will surprise people.
To me, I don't know how surprising this is, and you might even disagree with this maybe, but I'm going Nebraska. They are right on the outside receiving votes currently. I like Dylan Raiola. I think their schedule's relatively easy for the most part. They have 2 ranked opponents. They have Michigan and Penn State. I think they'll lose both of those. But a 2-loss Nebraska team is still a really solid team that I think has the chance to really cause some problems. I think they play Iowa, Michigan State, Maryland, a handful of those like middle of the road Big Ten teams, but nobody that's out there that I don't think that they can beat. They play like Houston Christian or something week 3, like some crazy matchup that nobody's going to care about at all. To me, it's got to be Nebraska.
I'm going to go with a Big Ten school as well. And if you listen to our week 0 preview episode, this will not surprise you, but Washington. I'm a big believer in DeMond Williams and Jonah Coleman, Boston, the wide receiver. What Jed Fish is doing there is fantastic. I think Washington is going to be a threat. I don't think Washington will win the Big Ten, but I do think that Ohio State going to Washington in late September is a trap game.
So you think that's a team that has a chance to, by season's end, crack the top 25?
Oh, 100%. Top 20. I think Washington's a top 20 team.
Well, after you predicted UNLV and then I saw what they did this weekend.
Okay. What you're referencing is UNLV was my G5 winner, but I was joking. And I'd like to take it back and go with Boise State. No, I'm a big believer in what Washington's doing. I think going to Seattle is incredibly difficult. And so, again, I mentioned this as Ohio State's trap game last episode. I will maintain that. Washington comes to Michigan in mid to late October. I think that will be a very telling game for both programs. You will know a lot more about those teams obviously at that point already. But I'm a big Washington stan.
I don't
right
get
now.
it, but pop off.
Let's talk Michigan. Let's talk, and here's kind of how I want to do it this week. All right. So obviously Michigan, New Mexico, not a high profile matchup. Michigan's favored by 107.
However, it's a primetime game on ABC at 7:30 at night.
I don't understand why we keep doing this.
Who's watching that over Clemson LSU? Nobody.
Me. I mean,
will you be though?
Yes, I will, because I want to see the Bryce Underwood show.
Or will it be on your computer while Clemson LSU's on the
TV? Doesn't matter.
We know the answer.
So here's what I want to do. We did some of this last week, but I want to at least give kind of a Michigan team preview of what this team looks like heading into the new season, and then we can talk about New Mexico proper. So the big talking point for Michigan is understandably going to be, this is Bryce Underwood's team. We've been saying, even by the way, before Mikey Keene's injury and all that stuff, when both looked like legitimate options for Michigan because they wanted to use the veteran Keene, kind of in a Cade McNamara type way, we said, or at least I said, I am predicting it's going to be Bryce on August 30th when Michigan runs out the tunnel to play New Mexico. Mikey Keene obviously gets hurt. Don't know. Who knows how that would have actually played out. But at the end of the day, Sharon Moore announces in Monday's press conference, this is going to be Bryce Underwood's team. I think this is, I think it's great in one sense. There's obviously concern. And here's why there would be concern is it doesn't matter if it's Bryce Underwood or JJ McCarthy or, Tavian St. Clair, if he was running out there, right? When you have, and we'll get to this, by the way, in the Texas Ohio State preview as well, when you've got an untested quarterback, you have unproven results. Bryce Underwood is going to be there's no question that he's going to be good, right? There's no question he's going to be good, but there's a learning curve when you have untested quarterbacks. I think Nebraska and Dylan Raiola last year is a phenomenal comparison. Dylan Raiola is a phenomenal quarterback. The Nebraska offense struggled last year, and it's not all his fault. But he did make a lot of freshman mistakes, but you can see the raw talent. It would not surprise me if Bryce Underwood had the exact same or similar type of season. I think Michigan's offense will be better than Nebraska's was last year. It will certainly be better than what Michigan rolled out last year. But I think there's going to be, this is not rocket science, there's going to be a learning curve. This kid has played no snaps of college football yet. He has the talent, but it takes more than just the quarterback. It takes the receivers. It takes an offensive line. It takes all these other things that have to go well. You've got a new offensive coordinator in Chip Lindsey. All of these things will be very positive for Michigan, but it's going to take some time. You've got New Mexico this week. That's an ease-in game for Michigan. You'll have Central in week 3. No disrespect to the Chippewas. It's one of my dad went to school there. However, you're not going to have that ease-in week 2 at Oklahoma.
Nope.
You won't have that week 4 at Nebraska. So this team and Bryce are going to have to grow up fast. I'm not making a prediction on any game outside of New Mexico this week, but they're going to have to grow up fast. One of the places that you can feel confident if you are a Michigan fan is in the run game. We talked about this ad nauseum last week. We're not going to go through every position group, but Justice Haynes, Jordan Marshall, going to be fantastic. I think this is easily a top 5 running back duo in the country. I don't think that's a crazy thing to say. most of the focus will be on Bryce. Most of the focus will be on the wide receivers. It's going to be Donovan McCulley. Samaj Morgan's going to be in there. Marlon Klein at tight end is going to be a big factor for this team. There's a lot to like about this. The defense is going to be very, very good again for Michigan. But a lot of this is going to run through Bryce Underwood and an offensive line that just saw, some reshuffling again. We assumed Nathan Afobe was going to be on the line. It's going to be Brady Norton, the Cal Poly transfer in there. This should be a better offensive line than last year. It'll be Evan Link. It'll be El Hadi, Crippen, Sprague, and then Norton will be in there as well. I think this will be a better offensive line, but there's still questions there. Michigan can feel very good about the future of the program. I think Michigan can expect a 9-3 team this year. That's where my prediction's at. I don't think this is a college football playoff team yet. I think the schedule is tougher than people make it out to be. I think it's a 9-3 team. And I think if you can do that, is it successful if you miss the playoff? Probably not. But I think 9-3 is probably about where this team is going to end up.
Yeah, I think you kind of nailed it right on the head there. I think Bryce Underwood is one of those things. It's so tough to just say with any quarterback when it's going to be their first full season, because you can see the physical talent is there. But that doesn't mean it's going to translate.
Correct.
And while I do think he's going to end up being a good quarterback, I think he's going to have the same struggles year one. Not that he's going to be bad. I think the Dylan Raiola comparison is very fair. I think, and if you got that out of him this season, I think you should be thrilled. Yeah, if you could get that, the way I look at it, to make it more of a comp to a Michigan guy, you're getting an Alex Orji physical wise that can actually pass the ball. and I think if you're a Michigan fan, you're going to take that all day.
Yeah.
My notes for this game are the same that I feel like it was all last season and all the season before. The Michigan quarterback doesn't really have to do anything. This isn't going to be some game where you're going to come out and you're going to see Bryce Underwood just absolutely light up New Mexico and do that. Not because he can't, but he's just not going to have to. I think you're going to have Justice Haynes. You're going to have Jordan Marshall, the running back duo for the Wolverines. They're going to kind of help get the offense going. That's Michigan's game plan every single season recently.
For sure.
It's their identity. They're going to run the ball and they're going to do that efficiently. Once they get enough of a lead, it wouldn't surprise me if they even pulled Bryce around halftime or mid-third quarter. Yeah. Let some other guys, let like a Jaden Davis or somebody get in there.
Who, by the way, Jaden Davis being named QB2, and I would presume that's because of Mikey Keene's health.
For sure.
But also, that's... I would like to see the Jaden Davis thing. We don't even have to go into. Is just continues to just be very confusing to me, the way that they used him / did not use him last year.
Well, I saw some videos.
So as QB2, you assume that's a Mikey Keene health thing. Hopefully that also means that they do feel confident. My hope is that it's not just that, but that we feel confident enough in him to go ahead and have him in that position.
Yeah, I was one of those people when we talked, episodes ago, that I thought Mikey Keene was going to be the starter had he been healthy. Obviously, when he got injured, I knew it would be Bryce Underwood, but I thought Keene was going to be the day one starter. Not that he would finish that by season's end, but I thought that they would try to prolong Bryce having to go out there as much as they could and let him kind of adjust, get some maybe like him coming in the second half of this New Mexico game when you're already up 30-3 or whatever.
You thought they'd have kind of the JJ package.
Yeah, something like that where they can let him kind of adjust to the tempo, let him sit back and learn and adjust, and before throwing him in. Obviously, that's not going to happen. I did see stuff that was a little concerning with Jaden Davis. Not anything that's like, this is why you shouldn't trust him, but just with his release, how he brings the ball all the way back down to his hip before he does that, just some simple things the coaching staff's trying to correct. And so I look at that and I'm like, man, this is year 2 now for him, because he was a true freshman last year. So I'm looking at that and I'm like, man, that's just stuff that's got to get cleaned up to be able to be a legitimate starter for a program like that.
And my question would be why that wasn't the case last year, right? And again, I'm not... People want to look at the spring game and go, oh, this was terrible. We said this at the spring game episode. it's a spring game, and people put way too much stock in that.
For sure.
Way too much stock in that. That was also, 6 months ago now, right?
Yeah, and those are things that can be corrected, and I don't think he's going to have the pressure, but I do feel, and you might disagree with this, I do feel like his story is going to be very similar to what we saw with Ohio State, and honestly what we're seeing now with Lincoln Kienholz, but more recent with Devin Brown, where everybody's kind of going, well, what is he? Who? Like, he's just always kind of there. He was a high recruit. He was a 5-star guy. He was a 5-star guy, but when you see him play, he doesn't really impress you. He always gets beat out for the job. Like, I think if you're looking at this situation with Davis now and Bryce Underwood, you're going, Bryce is the guy. He's the guy this year. He's the guy next year. He's the
year after that. Yeah.
So, like, Jaden Davis, what up? You know? And I think if you're Jaden Davis, you're looking and you're going, well, I was a 5-star recruit. I need to get some playing time somewhere. Is that a guy that down the road you could see transferring out of a school like Michigan?
Yeah, and I don't remember where I landed on that last year. I think at this point with the Bryce signing, you would think so, right? I mean,
yeah. I think I've said that for a while now.
I think one of the difficult things too is that and it's not a one-to-one comparison, but you reference when you see him play, you're just not sure what to make of him. The problem is that we haven't seen him play.
Barely.
I'm fairly certain he took one snap last year, and it was a handoff to Tavier Dunlap. Mm-hmm. I mean, the usage, and I don't want to go back into all this, but the usage in the ReliaQuest Bowl when Davis Warren, tore his ACL, and Alex Orji, who was already in the portal, was the guy who got put in. That makes no sense to me. And so that's where I look at it and go, well, how? I don't know. I have questions and concerns about it. I'm trying to give the coaching staff this year overall, I'm trying to give them a bit of a mulligan. I was extremely vocal and critical last year because they deserved it. Mm-hmm. Kirk Campbell, no longer there, but Kirk Campbell deserved every bit of criticism. Wink Martindale, up until the last 4 weeks of the year, deserved every bit of criticism. And frankly, Sharon Moore deserved every bit of criticism I gave him as well. Mm-hmm. He looked like he was lost half the time. I will give a bit of a mulligan because, again, hindsight's 20/20, right? Like, you beat Ohio State, you beat Alabama, you're willing to give a little bit more grace to people. Yeah. But he was thrust into a difficult situation, quick transition. I get all that. The team roster didn't come together the way that he probably wanted to. Some of that is their own fault. Some of it is Harbaugh's fault. Mm-hmm. Some of it is the way that the NCAA has it set up. Some of it is you were playing for a national championship, and so the window got pushed, Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, though, this is a very important year. I'll just say this. This is a very important year for me for Sharon Moore. He ain't going anywhere. But from my opinion, because you should care deeply about this, for my opinion of him, I need to see better game management from him. Mm-hmm. I need to see better decision making, better utilization. You remember the Donovan Edwards and the Ben Hall and I almost said Hassan Haskins, the Khalil Mullings rotation that never made sense. Obviously, those guys are not involved anymore, but the Jordan Marshall, Justice Haynes situation, I need to know that we're putting on our thinking football caps here.
Playing smart football.
So let's talk New Mexico just briefly. Jack Lane, the former Idaho quarterback, starting for New Mexico. They were in a dicey little game with Oregon to open last season, if you remember.
All I'm saying.
And that's all we're going to say about New Mexico.
All I'm saying.
You said something that I think is very fair, but that I disagree with about the way Michigan may utilize Bryce in this game. Yes, it's going to run through the trenches. 100%, because you're spot on. You know football, Michigan football, because we've been doing this for so long, right? Michigan's going to run through the trenches. Michigan's going to want to play bully ball, not because they can only do that, but because why would they do anything else if they don't have to?
Yeah.
What I want to see is yes, that's fine. You need to do that. I want to see the training wheels off for Bryce. Well, I want to see them go out there in a game that you are likely, and again, it's college football. Anything can happen. You could be 3 touchdown underdogs and win.
See Appalachian State.
No, don't make this an App State thing.
I will don't absolutely make this an App State thing. If we're talking about the past, we're going to talk about the past.
Talking about the past. More about FCS schools later in this program, believe it or not. But in a game that you are likely to win by 3 scores, 4 scores, I would love, like, in a game where you are likely able to get away with making mistakes, I would love to see Bryce take risks in this game. I want to see them sling the ball around the yard a little bit.
For
Why?
sure.
Because it's not so much about this game, but I'm looking at Oklahoma in week 2, and I don't know from a national standpoint if people are hyping this game up. That is a massive game for Michigan, for Oklahoma too. But that is week 2 is a massive game for how Michigan season is going to go. And so you need Bryce and the team, the offensive line, the wide receivers firing on all cylinders in week 2. So you better let them get it out of their system in week 1. I don't have any question marks on the defense in this game. The pass rush should be a bad time for Jack Lane. Defense should be very, very good. I'd love to see them take the training wheels off. Let Bryce just get it out of the system, man. I'd like to see that. You don't need cautious gameplay to win this game. So don't show me cautious gameplay.
You don't, but that's what they do. Like that's the thing.
Yeah, I understand.
I'm not disagreeing. I don't actually disagree with you at all. I think, of course, like if you're a Michigan fan, you want to see what you got in Underwood. Yeah. So you want to see him take the training wheels off. You want to see him let him throw the ball, especially with the Indiana transfer. You want to see him come in and get a few lob passes and all that.
Take some deep shots.
You don't see it much with that Michigan offense. And so realistically, I just don't think you're going to give more tape to Oklahoma than you've got to.
And I wondered about that too. But I would also say, I mean, how much is Oklahoma going to? Here's what Oklahoma's going to know: whether you operate, whether you play cautious or you don't. Oklahoma's going to go to the game and go, Bryce Underwood is very good. Let's defend it. And Oklahoma's got a pretty stout defense too. So I just don't. I am far less worried about putting film on tape that shows Oklahoma Bryce Underwood might be good. I'm just not concerned about that. They know he's good. So let him get whatever, you want to get as many freshman mistakes out of your system as you can. Go do that. It's not going to matter. You're going to get at least one moment where you get a collective whoa moment from Bryce Underwood. And you will get one moment where you go, oh. You're going to get a whoa and an oh because he's going to look like a freshman sensation who is still a freshman. Give me Michigan 34-6.
Okay.
Couple sad field goals for the Lobos.
We're not crazy far off. That's it. Like I already said before, I think this is going to be a run them down your throat kind of game. I've got Michigan 31, New Mexico 3. I just think you're going to see Justice Haynes. You're going to see Jordan Marshall get a bulk of the carries, and then they'll just kind of cruise control it from there. I don't, as much as I, even from an opposing standpoint, would love to see them take the training wheels off so that I can get a glimpse of what I'm going to be facing come November. I just don't believe it. I don't see Michigan as that kind of a program to do something like that. I don't disagree with you that I think they should. I just don't think that's the way they do things. And so I don't expect it to happen. I would love to actually get a chance to see him fully unleash, get to do whatever he wants, get those mistakes out, see what kind of player he really can be, give you that glimpse, because this is the perfect game to go ahead and do that on.
And you're going to get a whoa moment and an oh moment, right? Like you're going to have wild overreactions to either way. Now, again, if he looks absolutely, if he throws 3 picks, okay, that might be an issue, sure. Right? There's a level there. If he throws for 5 touchdowns and 400 yards, that might also be able to be oh my goodness. Mm-hmm. Anything outside of that is probably going to be an overreaction, but I expect there to be at least a mistake where everyone kind of goes, yeah, well, that's what you'd expect. Mm-hmm. But I also expect there to be, and I feel like someone else made this comparison, but when J.J. McCarthy's very first game, not as a starter, but when he came in for Cade, Western Michigan, and he kind of like rolls out to his right and just lobs a bomb to, I think it was Dalen Baldwin on the left side over Western, just absolutely launches it, cross-field bomb, goes for a touchdown, and everyone went, oh, this kid's for real. Mm-hmm. I expect you to have one of those too, which will be a lot of fun. Now, maybe though, you feel a little bit like Jason Eck in New Mexico. You're trying to build a champion, but you might not know how to execute it. By the way, I think New Mexico is going to be fine down the road. just not this week. Aaron and the team at Elevated Integrity Construction have a winning pedigree and a team of All-Americans. They are a juggernaut of the industry. They've built a dynasty of championship builders. For your home, church, or business build, go with the folks who have integrity right there in their name. ElevatedIntegrity.com. We are so thankful to Aaron and his team sponsoring again. Check out Elevated Integrity Construction, elevatedintegrity.com. We mentioned this earlier in the podcast as well. And if you're watching on YouTube at Rival Pod, JP's wearing some merch today, but we are super proud. We are partnering with our friends at Homage this season, affiliate partners, first year ever.
Man.
So stoked, man. Since 2007, Homage has been helping fans pay homage to the people, places, teams, and moments that matter most to them. Quality craftsmanship, elite storytelling, and trademarked legendary comfort. And if you go down into the show notes right now, in your podcast app on YouTube, you'll see a link there. You can get yourself your own Homage merch. Click on that link. It will support the podcast as well. If you're an Ohio State fan, they got a whole bunch of Buckeye gear. They just put out a brand new Jeremiah Smith shirt.
Sick.
If you're into that sort of thing, if you're into players who are 0-1 against Michigan, that's great. By the way, I will say this too. As a Michigan guy, or if you're a Michigan fan, you look through there, you go, well, there's no Michigan apparel.
Good.
They have got, no. They have got some of the sickest, like Detroit Lions, Detroit Tigers gear I have ever seen. I'm gonna have to wear. I got a Lions shirt from them. I got a super sick Detroit Tigers crew neck. Dude,
Their stuff is just so
it's incredible. It's incredible. So don't fear if you're on the other side of the rivalry with me. Stuff is amazing. So yeah, click that in the show notes. And then we are proud again to be part of the Varsity Network powered by Learfield. Big deal. Varsity Network is a must-have app for college football fans. You get live broadcasts, on-demand podcasts just like this one, and free to download. Find the Varsity Network in the App Store and search for the Rivalry Podcast. Rivalpod.com as well. Get your own Rivalry t-shirts. That's a great way to support the podcast. Custom OSU and Michigan ones as well. It's just, be sure to check that out and be sure to rate and review as well. I know everyone says, hit that subscribe button, rate and review.
Smash that subscribe button.
It really does help, especially small budget podcasts like this, to get in front of more people. It's one of the reasons we're grateful for the Homage partnership, for being with Varsity Network, for Elevate Integrity. And so your rate and review means a lot as well. That is the only football game I think this weekend.
Sure is.
Michigan, New Mexico.
How dare you disrespect Ohio and Rutgers like that?
Let's talk Ohio State, Texas, because this is obviously a mammoth deal, both for this rivalry podcast and for the college football scene at large.
Man, I've gone back and forth on this game so much. And it's one of those things where I look at this and you've got Arch Manning coming in, and everybody knows how good the dude is. I mean, there's no question about it. The guy's got talent. Everybody knows how good this Texas team is. I don't think there's been any questions on that side at all. I think everybody kind of stands firm with what their opinion is of Texas, but there are so many people questioning Ohio State, myself included. Now, before I say all that, I think I have the same question as everybody else. How good is Julian Sayin going to be? And I talked about it, I think, even on last week's episode.
Yeah. Be sure to check that one out.
The one thing that I think gives me confidence, because I do have question marks with him, is I look at the track record. Ohio State, since I think 2018, I might be messing that year, but I think since 2018 has led the Big Ten in passing every single year minus 1 year. And that year was Kyle McCord's year as a starter, where they finished second, which still ain't a bad place to be. If there's one thing that Ryan Day knows how to recruit, it is the quarterback position. If there's one thing that I can also trust is Nick Saban also recruited this guy. Alabama is a blue blood program. Ohio State obviously was going after this guy, a blue blood program. These are two top tier elite programs going after the same guy. At the end of the day, despite not really having a lengthy body of work to go off of, I've got to trust my coach. I need to be able to trust the facts of the past, where I can look at it and go, well, Ohio State, even with a Kyle McCord, who I have said time and time again, didn't have it to win us a natty. Still was good enough for us to be undefeated come the end of the year when we went to play Michigan. Had us right there competing. He also was able to go and lead us over some big wins on the road at Notre Dame, at home against a tough Penn State team. So I look at this and I go, that's going to give me a little bit of faith. What also gives me a lot of faith in this is he's kind of got an easy job because everywhere that brother looks is just oozing talent.
Yeah.
I mean, your wide receiver core.
If the job is throw to Jeremiah Smith, I feel like most of us could probably do that.
And here's the thing. You've got Jeremiah Smith. You've got Carnell Tate. You have a guy that a lot of people aren't really talking about that they should be in Max Clare. I think the best tight end in the nation. The most athletic tight end that they've had. Sorry, Kate Stover. That they've had in years. Probably the best tight end that I could ever remember Ohio State having, if I'm being honest. Then you got guys that are going to serve key roles like a Brandon Ennis, who I don't expect to come out there and just absolutely torch people, but isn't somebody that you should sleep on. I actually really like James Peoples a lot, and I think having C.J. Donaldson in the backfield with him will also help. I like what this offensive line has put together. I like the defense as a collective unit. The depth at the D-line is what really kind of makes me nervous, but I think the linebacking is the best it's been in a while. I think the secondary is going to be really, really good, one of the best in the nation. I think they've got all the talent in the world to come out of this weekend with a victory. What makes me nervous,
go ahead.
What makes me nervous, and then I'll let you kind of give your thoughts.
Yeah, you're good.
Is much like what we talked about with Bryce Underwood. This is Julian Sayin's first go around. And while he gets the advantage of it being a home game, Buckeye fans aren't easy. That's coming from one. They are very critical.
That's one of the beautiful things about this rivalry is that both fan bases are so passionate and so nonsensical sometimes.
Yes, that is the reason that Kyle McCord left after an 11-1 season where he was this close to leading us to the playoffs. And I would still stand on that hill that he was not the quarterback Ohio State needed despite that. But the fan base is what drove him out. An 11-1 quarterback who was second in the nation in Big Ten, who then went on to Syracuse and put up video game numbers, got driven out of Columbus, Ohio, because he just wasn't there. The expectations at that position in this program are so high, as they should be.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so
sometimes they're nonsensically high.
Absolutely. And that's what makes programs like Ohio State and Michigan the programs that they are. Is because you can go into Rutgers and get a Kyle McCord, or you can go into a Syracuse, for example, and get Kyle McCord, and they build the statue right there at the season's end. You can go look at Colorado, where they literally retire Shadur Sanders' number for going like 8-5.
I don't have it in me to talk about Coach Prime right now. Okay.
But the expectation and the standard of these programs are different.
Yeah.
So the second that Julian Sayin goes out there and has a mistake where he starts the game slow, that crowd's going to be antsy.
Yeah.
And I think when you come to the veteran experience, they've got a lot of talent, like I said, in all these positions, but a lot of them are relatively new faces. Outside of the offensive side of things, the defensive side, there's all the talent in the world. I think they've got the skill, but they're all relatively new at their position in terms of starting. They lost a lot of those guys from last year's team. I think it will be a closer game. I saw some people thinking Texas is going to come in here and just roll over the Buckeyes.
Who in the world? Who are you reading that thinks that?
I've seen it all over. I've seen it all over now.
You're reading horns up _ Texas one at
it's this
Twitter?
guy named Juan Carlos's Facebook page. Shout out to our good
JC.
friend. But I've seen a handful of people starting to predict that actually they think this is going to be a blowout. No. They think that the Texas D-line is going to wreak havoc. I am on the side where, and then I'll let you share your side before I give my prediction. I think it's going to be a battle. What I'm really looking for out of this game, more so than a victory, obviously, is I just want to see how they compete against this. Because I think in everybody's mind, Texas is a clear championship winner, if not this is a team that could easily go to the semis again. I think a lot of people have that booked down. And so I look at this team as, okay, this is a team that people are predicting to win the SEC. They're predicting them to either win the Natty or at least be in the semis. How do the Buckeyes stack up against this team? It's week 1. So if they come out and lose, but they lose by 3 and they at least looked decent, that gives me more confidence going into the rest of the season than if they just go out there and get absolutely smoked.
Yeah, see, you bring up an interesting point with that too. Of like, I feel like the expanded playoff takes away a little bit of the luster of this game, right? Where in a 4-team playoff, you can't lose this game. You can't lose this game. Now, if you're Texas or Ohio State, you can, because there's 12 teams getting in still. I will say this, though. So the College Football Playoff Committee has got this kind of new metric that they're supposed to be using that emphasizes more strength of schedule. And basically it's supposed to, give you higher accolade if you beat top teams, less punishment or less consequence if you lose to them, less reward for beating low teams, higher consequence for losing to them. I don't know how that's all going to work out. Also, have we not been doing that? Why have we not been doing that? And so there's an extent where that helps in this scenario where whoever loses this game can still be like, yeah, but it was to a good team. However, I'll say this. Ohio State, well, I think they have a fairly difficult schedule. From a national perspective, there's only a handful of really big ticket games for you. While I might be pointing at Washington, no one else in the media is pointing at Washington. They're looking at Texas for Ohio State. They're looking at Texas, Penn State, and Michigan. With Michigan, who knows where Michigan will be ranked or not at that point. You don't have a lot of high profile opportunities to impress the committee. I told you that I think this is a 9-3 football team. I don't know which ones are going to lose. I'm not making those predictions. I'm going week by week. I think it's a 9-3 team. You don't have a lot of opportunities for high quality wins. And so if the committee, and again, I'm hypothesizing here because it's a rivalry podcast, the rivalry podcast, if you will.
Some have said.
Many people are saying, if I'm the committee and I'm looking at, and let's just say that you drop to Texas and Penn State. Okay. Forget the Michigan game for a second. And I'm looking at Ohio State's schedule going, you played 2 high profile games here and you lost both of them.
At home.
Am I supposed to be impressed that you beat Illinois? What's your quality win? Illinois, maybe Michigan, who may or may not be ranked at that point. And so I do think that while this game loses some of the luster, I would caution both Texas and Ohio State fans, as someone whose team is not in this game, don't just assume that a loss in this game is no big deal. Frankly, Texas, because of their schedule, can probably afford a loss more than Ohio State can. Now, you could lose this game and still be fine. Don't hear me saying that the sky is falling. But it doesn't mean nothing if you lose this game.
Well, of course.
Particularly if you're Ohio State.
Yeah.
I agree with a lot of, actually, I agree at least with a lot of your concerns. I mean, let's start with the positives. You have Jeremiah Smith. You have Carnell Tate. You have Max Clare. Very, very talented wide receivers. You have Caleb Downs, right? You got Sonny Styles back there. Very talented secondary, right? You've got, as much of a Jekyll and Hyde as he is, Igbinosun is back there still to either intercept it or hold you. And it's one of the two. And I don't know which one's going to be on any given play. Where I think there's concern is your defensive line. You guys lost. You're in the same position Michigan was in after their natty, right? You lost a lot of guys. Doesn't mean you'll take a step back because you do seem to have a functional quarterback, but you've got a new defensive line for the most part. You've got a lot of new guys back there. You've got new faces in CJ Donaldson and James Peoples and Julian Sayin. Just because some of those guys were on the team doesn't mean that they had any meaningful snaps.
I mean, Peoples had a decent amount last year.
But I thought meaningful? Not really.
Yeah, but I thought in the time that he produced.
But not against Texas. Not in a high stakes, high pressure moment.
He's never had the chance.
And so I'm on record as saying I'm not a big believer in this run game for you. I'm a big believer in Jeremiah Smith. I thought the hype last year before he'd done anything was ridiculous. As this is the NFL's best Hall of Fame receiver. I go, this kid is 18. Let's relax. He might get there, but let's relax. Obviously a threat. Obviously an incredible player, right? But I've not seen Julian Sayin yet in any meaningful snaps. I've not seen this defensive line against Arch Manning. And let's not forget that it's not just Arch. Like Ryan Wingo's out there. That's a good receiver.
He's good.
And so here's where I'm going to end up. I share a lot of concern about just like Bryce and just like you're saying, I have a lot of concern about untested quarterbacks. That includes Julian Sayin, and that includes Arch Manning. Now, do I think Arch Manning is more than just your average new starting quarterback? Sure. But I'm also not ready to crown him Heisman winner yet.
No, I mean, he at least got a few games under his belt.
But again, I would say, and I would say, and he played in some other games as well that he didn't start.
Yeah.
But I'm going to kind of like Jeremiah Smith last year. I'm also going to sit here and go, let's rein it in a little bit. Very talented player, but his first full-time start is in Columbus. Despite Michigan's recent success, not an easy place to play. Mm-hmm. So I have concerns at both quarterback positions. I probably like Ohio State's wide receiving weapons better than I do Texas's.
I would hope so.
At the same time, I think there's something to be said for defense traveling. And I have a lot more confidence in an experienced veteran Texas defense than I do Ohio State's. Ohio State's secondary, I think, is very good. But I have questions up front for Ohio State that I think guys like Colin Simmons and Anthony Hill are going to be problems. I like Michael Taft back at the safety position as well. I think that Julian Sayin and Arch will both find themselves under a lot of pressure because Ohio State, with their questions on their offensive line, Texas has got 4 new starters on that line as well. But given the comparison, I like Texas's veteran pass rush presence better than Ohio State's. And in a game where I expect there to be mistakes from both quarterbacks, I probably trust Arch a little bit more at this point than I do Julian. Some of that's because I haven't seen him. Some of it is because I really want Texas to win this football game.
What?
But I even objectively, I think if I go in a game of mistakes, who do I trust more? Objectively, it's probably Arch Manning. Not probably, it is Arch Manning.
It is.
In a game where there are bound to be mistakes with young quarterbacks, who do I trust more? The veteran experience of that Texas pass rush. So I'll go ahead and give you mine. This should be an absolute blast of a football game, by the way.
Yeah.
I don't know who's talking about teams getting blown out.
I've seen it.
It ain't going to happen.
Seen it until over the weekend when people started all of a sudden changing their tune, all up leading to this weekend.
Ohio State's a 1.5 favorite.
All I've seen is this is going to be a dogfight. Yeah. And until this past weekend, when all of a sudden I'm seeing people going, you know what? Actually, I think it's going to be a lopsided victory for the Longhorns.
We're not encouraging sports betting. I'm just telling you the money line is 1.5 Ohio State's favor. At home, that basically means it's a coin flip, and maybe Texas is a slight favorite. Who knows? This is going to be an absolute blast. For those 2 reasons, my trust in Texas pass rush as experienced, my trust in Arch over Julian. This should be a lot of fun. I could see this going either way, but I'm going to give me Texas by 3. Give me 31-28 Texas.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I've kind of already explained my thoughts behind stuff. I think I don't disagree with you when it comes to the mistakes. I think if you look at these teams, between the quarterbacks themselves, I'm expecting both of them to make mistakes.
Yes.
And I think that's just reasonable. Ohio Stadium is not an easy place to walk into. That crowd is going to be ready to go. They still obviously are a talented team. I haven't seen enough. I think the growing pains are going to be there for Julian Sayin. I actually, surprisingly, maybe for the first time in this podcast ever, I have Texas 23, Ohio State 20.
This is never. I don't think in 3-4 years, however long you've been doing this one, that you have ever picked against Ohio State.
And here's what I want to preface it by saying.
Oh my goodness.
Here's what I want to preface it by saying.
This is like Christmas for me.
Here's what I want to preface.
Do you want to wear the Wolverine head?
I will burn it here. Here's my reasoning. I've talked about it numerous times already. I think Ohio State, because of the expanded playoffs, and we talked about it last week, I believe. I thought between Texas and Penn State, they were going to split 1-1. I feel like there's going to be a drop off at the quarterback position. Not saying Sayin isn't going to be a really good quarterback. I'm just not expecting him to be the leader that Will Howard was. I don't think he's got the talent yet to even be the Kyle McCord yet. I think he's going to be a weird mix of both.
Well, and I would also say too, as much as I don't think, frankly, and this, I'll say it, I don't think Will Howard was like a massively talented quarterback, but he had experience.
See, I think
Julian Sayin does not have that yet.
Leaps and bounds the best quarterback when it came to the playoffs last year.
He clearly got the job done for the playoffs at least.
I thought that dude was throwing dimes last year. That is a crazy take.
I agree with your assessment regardless that Julian is not there.
I just don't think he's there yet. And so if I have to pick between who do I think is gonna beat them out between Penn State and Texas, I think because the Penn State game is further down the road.
Yeah, we can punt on that one.
I do think that Sayin's gonna eventually grow into his own. He's going to get that offense figured out, but it's his first time. It's a huge game. The nerves are going to be there. The offense, per usual with every single team in college football week 1, is going to start slow.
Yep.
I just think all of that against them.
New coordinators. I think it helps that he's got all those weapons. I think that makes his job easier. And I do realistically see a chance where they could come out and win. Well, yeah, they're favorites. They're going to have favorites. Yeah, they could absolutely win.
I think there's a really good chance of that. So I don't even really love my own pick. I just think at the end of the day, I think of this team as a one-loss team between Texas and Penn State. I just obviously we'll dive into the Penn State game when it gets here, but I just feel stronger that because it's so early in the season, because I feel like Texas, we already kind of know what we're getting out of them.
It feels like it, but there's still a lot for them to prove.
There is. They still got to go out there and show it. I mean, Manning could come out there and completely fall apart. We don't know.
Now they've got Quintravion Wisner, 1,000-yard rusher last season as well. We didn't even mention him. Again, not to beat a dead horse, but like, you already know my thoughts on your run game. We'll see. These are both, interesting offensive lines too.
And I think that's going to be a huge key that we didn't even really touch on is if Peoples can get the run game going and actually open up the passing game.
Oh yeah. It all starts there.
Who even knows? I do really like the offensive line, but for that reason, give me Texas 23, Ohio State 20. I think the Buckeyes drop 1 and then they get it figured out.
If Ohio State wins this game, I think you can feel, from a Buckeye perspective, you can feel very good about, because we think we know, and we think we know Texas is pretty good, right? Like we think we know Texas is really good.
Trying to say is like,
and so if you win, because again, Vegas has this as a toss-up. So yeah, of course you guys could win. If you win, and you probably should win because you're at home and favored, but if Ohio State wins, I think fans, from a fan perspective, you feel pretty good moving forward. If you lose, again, I don't think the sky is falling, but I would caution and say that I think Ohio State needs this win more than Texas does.
I wouldn't disagree with that. And that's what I was trying to say earlier. I think this game is going to be a really good measuring stick for this Ohio State team this year. Because
Agree.
If Ohio State goes out there and just lays an egg and just gets absolutely the doors just blown off.
Yeah. Then there's an issue.
Then I'm going, hey, how about that Lincoln Kienholz in the back?
Yeah.
I'm starting to have those questions.
Yeah.
Or maybe I'm looking at the defense, whatever the issue may be.
A loss is not good, given the fact that you only have a handful of high value games, if you want to look at it that way. However, a loss in which you look lost, that's going to be an issue.
Yeah, if we come out and we lose like Michigan did to them last year,
and I think that's a good example,
where you just come out and you just from the jump looks like completely different.
This is a better team.
Yes, then I think you can start to raise the questions. But if Ohio State loses, like I said, 23-20 to this team, even if Julian Sayin struggles in that,
it's a problem. But it's not as big of a problem.
But you look at that with a little bit more confidence heading into the rest of the year.
I would agree
so that's kind of my hope in this pick. Is there's going to be obvious struggles. There's going to be growing pains. If we lose, It makes the season a little bit more tighter. You've got to really clean up some stuff.
You have no mulligans now.
No, I mean, 2 losses we saw last year got us in, but it was by the skin of our teeth. So, I mean.
Yeah, the schedule, again, not to belabor it, but the schedule does not afford you the opportunity to you need this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Both teams need this. Let's move on to our first Stupid Genius upset picks of the year. And here's how this works. Stupid Genius is pretty simple. You must pick a team that is at least 5-point underdogs. Okay, none of this like, well, they're 2-point underdogs. At least 5-point underdogs.
Yep.
If you get that pick correct, You get however many points that team had.
So if you pick one right last year,
if you pick a 12.5 point underdog and it pays off, you get 12.5 points in the standings. You are notoriously terrible at this.
I mean,
I didn't do well last year either, but I think I've won. But that's all I needed.
Yeah, because I ain't getting them.
You want to go first on this one?
Yeah, but I feel like it kind of ruins another segment.
So should I go first?
You should go first.
Okay. Let me give you. First, I want to give you my not stupid genius. Okay, I won't give you my
That's not a thing.
Just hear me out here. There's a game on the schedule this weekend. Actually, there's two, but there's two games on the schedule this weekend that no one else is going to be watching, but I am very, very interested in. And you're going to think one of them you'll go, yeah, okay, maybe. The other one you're going to think it's stupid. One of them involves Iowa State. So South Dakota is an FCS school. Goes to Iowa State. I watched Iowa State play Kansas State. I thought Rocco Becht was good. I thought the rest of the game was kind of okay. And it feels like there are FCS teams that beat FBS teams every year. And usually they're like, they beat New Mexico or UTEP or whatever. South Dakota is a pretty good FCS team. Iowa State is an okay FBS team, right? They're top 25. I get it. I'm not saying South Dakota's going to do it. I'm very interested in that game. Here's the one you're going to think is dumb. 4 p.m. on Saturday on the Big Ten Network. If YouTube TV gets all their stuff figured out with Fox. They won't. Montana State goes to Oregon. Montana State has been to 2 of the last 4 FCS national championship games. They are returning 20 players who played 200 plus snaps last year. I am very, very interested in this game.
Is that your pick?
This is my not stupid genius still. I'm just saying, Montana State's been to 2 of the last 4 FCS national titles, including this past season, returning 20 plus players with over 200 snaps. Preseason favorite to win the Big Sky. Oregon's like 30-point favorites in this game, but they're starting Dante Moore as a new quarterback. And maybe you remember Idaho. Yeah, the former Kibbe Dome Idaho team that went into Autzen last year and nearly pulled the upset. I'm very curious to see what Montana State does. My actual stupid genius is Northwestern at Tulane.
Northwestern at Tulane.
Northwestern are 5.5-point dogs. I really like that they got Preston Stone from SMU out of the portal. Give me Northwestern plus 5.5.
No way. Mine is something that we can kind of dive right into. My stupid genius. I've got Florida State over Bama to start the season.
Talk to me about this. Talk to me about the dumb decisions you've made in your life to bring you to this point.
How much time you got first off?
Not enough.
I'm not buying into the Bama hype this year. After last season when you had Jalen Milroe and you still were a garbage team. And now
they were knocking on the door of the playoff. Because Nick Saban advocated for them on national television.
Now I'm supposed to all of a sudden believe, as I've seen a handful of people saying that Bama's back and they're going to make the playoffs and they're going to go on a deep run and blah, blah, blah. With who and what? Ryan Williams is the only person on that team that I really care to watch at all. That sounds more disrespectful.
You meant it. You said it. You meant it.
I kind of did. I kind of did.
Don't back down.
You know what? I won't. Ryan Williams is the only offensive threat that I look at on that roster and go.
It's definitively not true, by the way. But sure, go on.
He's good. He's okay. He's no Jeremiah Smith. But I look at this and I go, I don't believe in their quarterback. I don't believe in the head coach. And I just don't think that this Alabama team is the Alabama that we grew up watching, where Nick Saban was routinely just reloading. I think it's going to look a lot different now. And I just don't buy into it. I think they've got the talent. I think they're a better team than Florida State. I just think because it's on the road, I don't think that they're going to be as well coached. I think that crowd's going to be rowdy.
Florida State went like 1-11 last year or whatever, right?
Doesn't matter to me.
I don't even know if that's true, but they were bad.
My defending champs.
Here's the crazy thing is that I actually don't hate this pick. I just like giving you a hard time. I nearly made this pick. I couldn't do it. Good. So good. Honestly, good on you. I couldn't make this pick. For a lot of the reasons that you gave, I did not. Again, this was not my pick. I think Alabama will win. I would love for Florida State to win this game. I think Castellanos has run his mouth all off season, which I don't like, but I know that's your style. And so I like that. I like Mike Norvell. I know he had a rough go last year. Mike Norvell, that's fine. I like what he's doing. I have, again, concerns about Ty Simpson as a new starting quarterback on the road.
No way.
The same thing we've said all this podcast episode. I have concerns about him on the road. And by the way, no Jam Miller. That is a huge issue for Alabama. No Jam Miller. Justice Haynes, I think, transferred out somewhere. So, and I agree with you, because I said this last episode, you can go back and listen to it, that Alabama being ranked in the top 10, I think they were ranked 8th in the AP.
Yep.
I'm not maybe as down on them as you are, but I'm looking at it saying that they are operating, the national media is operating based off Saban era nostalgia and vibes. It would surprise me, but not shock me if Florida State won this game. Because I'm listening to, Always College Football, and I'm podcast right now. And is it McElroy? It might be McElroy's podcast, but he's like taking Alabama to the semifinals. I'm going, my guy. No. So I don't hate that pick. I did take Alabama. We wanted the other two pick'ems that I gave you, because that was one of them, which is why you said it ruined that segment. Notre Dame, Miami, just real quick. Miami, for me.
You have Miami?
Carson Beck. Yeah, again.
That's why you chose Miami?
Well, I've got Carson Beck there, and frankly, it goes back to, again, young starting quarterbacks on the road. CJ Carr, which, by the way, as a Michigan fan, this pains us that he's at Notre Dame. However, it's a Lloyd. I'm talking about Lloyd Carr, by the way, in case people are like, I don't get the family connection. Yeah, this is Lloyd Carr's grandson. Yeah, CJ Carr on the road for his first start. I just don't like it. Miami.
This might surprise you, because my track record with Notre Dame
has not been good. I'm going with the Fighting Irish. Well, now they definitely aren't going to win, because you told me all playoffs that they were trash and they made the national title.
And guess what? They are trash, and they were trash.
Okay, that's not
me saying that they're going to win this game does not also mean I don't think Miami's also trash.
Yeah, I'm not a Miami believer. For this game, I just don't like the setup for Notre Dame. I also, because Notre Dame doesn't play anybody, love it when Notre Dame loses. So
for sure, but here's where I think they get the edge. Carson Beck is a fine quarterback.
Yeah.
I have routinely in the past several years picked Miami in these games, and they have routinely let me down. And
not this time.
It is because I have done the same thing we just got done talking about with Bama. I've thought of the Miami Hurricanes of old. And then I think about it and I go, this is a Miami team that's just a few years ago lost to a Rutgers team in a bowl game.
You are the only person who remembers that.
That's fine. I still remember it. They no longer have Cam Ward. Carson Beck is a step below that to me.
Agree. Oh, yeah.
I'm looking at this Notre Dame team, the same thoughts that you shared about CJ Carr. I'm not a believer in him, because why would I be?
I'm not saying I'm not a believer in CJ Carr. I'm saying that this is a very tough first start.
I do not think... I don't think he's good enough to have them be the Notre Dame that we saw last year with Riley Leonard, or even when they had Sam Hartman. I don't think they're going to be to that level. But what I think is going to get them over the hump in this game is they do have two weapons on offense that I think make his job a heck of a lot easier. And one is going to be giving the ball to the best running back in the nation, in Jeremiah Love.
Yep.
I think that dude's going to have a game. I saw it a couple years ago when Rutgers played Miami and Kyle Monangai ran all over him. That's the whole reason Rutgers was able to win that game.
That's a real person, by the way.
I think Jeremiah plays for Chicago Bears in the NFL right now. Jeremiah Love is an obvious running back one to me in the nation. Then you have Jaden Greathouse, who has really started to show, just the past year, but even 2 years ago. The dude's just been making plays all over. Underrated wide receiver. I just feel like those two combined, Notre Dame's going to have a solid defense. I feel like because of those reasons, I'm a little bit higher on Notre Dame this game than I typically would be.
The last one I was going to have us pick, and I couldn't take this as my stupid genius pick because the spread isn't quite enough, but it feels like it from the national media perspective. LSU at Clemson, and you already know I've gone on record saying LSU is going to win the SEC.
No way.
And not only will they win the SEC, they're going to beat Clemson in their own barn.
No way.
I think the spread is less than 5, so I couldn't take them. But the way that it's being talked about, you'd think Clemson were 2 touchdown favorites. That's the way it's being presented. And this is LSU, man. LSU is going to go in there and beat them in their own barn. I love it.
I think there's.
I don't
so many
love it because
people-
I kind of like seeing Brian Kelly suffer, but I put my cards on the table for LSU, so I got to ride with him right now.
He's one of the reasons I don't think that they'll get it done.
And that's fair.
I don't trust Brian Kelly. I also think the Garrett Nussmeier hype is a little bit too much. I think if there was a year to do it, I mentioned it last episode. I think this is a year you really see Cade Klubnik. We were going to talk about it had it been on the wheel route. He's my Heisman favorite right now. If I'm going early, I think it's going to be a quarterback this year. And,
I mean, that's not crazy.
And
it's hard to win it as a non-quarterback.
I think it's going to be Cade Klubnik. I really like their defensive line. This game is at home. I just would be stunned.
I mean, it would stun a lot of people. And again, I kind of win either way. I've kind of hedged my bets because either I'm right and I'm the only person taking LSU over Clemson and the only person in the world who's taken LSU to win the SEC, or Brian Kelly is sad. And that's a win for me too.
Yeah.
Go Blue, man. Some great college football this weekend. Can't wait to just finally stop talking about it. Just sit back and watch. Take it all in. Please be sure to rate, review, subscribe at Rival Pod, wherever you're listening right now, across social media, on YouTube. Get yourself a t-shirt, jump in the show notes, get yourself something from Homage, and enjoy the first full weekend of college football.
The Rivalry is a production of River Radio Ministries. Want live updates from the show? Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at RivalPod. Visit our Patreon and consider becoming a patron for exclusive bonus content, merch, and more. And be sure to follow us wherever you're listening now for new episodes every Tuesday. And if you like what you're hearing, tell a friend so they can listen too.